Yes, y'all. And we are back. Episode.
Can y'all tell us what episode it is?
Man, I gotta turn this intro song
I
now.
literally have one job every morning before this show.
Man, can we get fans to let us know? We need the appreciation of knowing that we have people watching the show.
Exactly.
Let's give them some exercise. We already do enough work.
I'm just trying to figure out how we don't know what show we on still though. Like there's one job.
Don't worry about it, man.
I just want that one day to come in and we just boom, we on show episode whatever.
I'm gonna get it.
So
like
have you
next
done
week.
anything to the make sure we did the research to find it?
I'm doing my job.
So we all are doing our job.
Did you do anything to find it?
It's not my job.
All right,
So it's
hold
not
on,
your
hold
job.
on. Relax,
If it
guys.
ain't my job.
This is
then
another
whose job
tangent.
is it?
All right, this is not. You looking at me because it's my job?
Yeah, you don't want to say
You're
it.
the only one that doesn't own up to it. So
It ain't like I'll get up
it's
here
like
and be
1, 2, 3, not it.
We back. We on episode.
All right, we on episode 8.
Thank you.
We on episode 8.
You sure?
Open
is great.
gym. I'm positive. Presented by Mojo Sports Gear.
Friday
Where
night.
you get all your, fancy sports gear. I'm Rondell. That's Marvell
Well,
Nicholas.
you say something about Mojo Sports Gear?
Yeah.
Oh snap! He
Oh
flexing.
snap!
He
Hold
flexing
on,
the
you gotta stand
mojo.
up a little bit. You gotta stand up a little bit.
Got the mojo flow
Free
going.
pub.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, before I was, interrupted by
That's
T. That's T Nesbitt, and we are the crew of Open Gym.
You can say that with no kind of enthusiasm.
Man, what?
We at the
Low
crew of
decibels
Open
and
Gym.
everything.
By the time y'all should know, man, I keep it cool, calm, and collected.
This is Open Gym, and
He always on jazz mode.
Always.
yeah,
Ladies
just
love
expecting a snap like.
Ladies love Rondell.
Yeah, sure.
I got better things to do.
Wait, dang, it's like that.
I gotta
That's
go
what
take a
we
nap.
on, man.
All right, bro. We're
That's
going to
good.
start it off by recapping these series. So, Boston, they swept the 76ers. Let me see. Toronto swept the Knicks. Is that the only series that ended?
Did you just say the Knicks?
Did I say the Knicks?
You said the Knicks.
I tell this man every week, don't go out the night before we have a show.
I mean, Raptors.
Every week. That's
swept.
why he can't know what show we on.
Put the drink down, bro.
He don't care about nothing.
The drink and the
10
salsa,
o'clock.
bro.
All right, my bad. Raptors swept the Nets. Is that way better?
Yes.
I mean, it's correct. So yes, it's better.
I know the Knicks are like,
Oh,
what?
yeah.
We-
Pacers got swept by the Heat. Those are the only ones that finished. Right now we're at. Hold on, let me see. Rockets and Thunder are 2-2. Magic and Bucks. Well,
We'll figure out
Milwaukee.
today.
Milwaukee's 3-1 and Clippers Mavs 3-2 with the Lakers 3-1.
Mhm.
That's the series right there, right?
Yep.
Y'all want to talk about them?
Yeah. Well, we start with the series that's already over.
Yeah, let's start with them.
Sorry.
Toronto, you knew what they were going to do. Shout out to the Nets.
I'm actually surprised about that.
You surprised they got swept?
No, I'm surprised that they. Yeah, I'm surprised they swept them. Yeah.
I'm not. Because the Nets had half a team. Shout out to them though, because they played tough the whole time. Like, the record's obviously not going to show. But the bubble with what they had, they came to play. I mean, they did some things. High energy team, well coached. I never liked Jacques Vaughn as a player, but him as the type of player he was always makes for good coaches because he wasn't that good of a player. And somehow, some way, he stayed in the NBA for a while. And I think a lot of that has to do with his teaching, his professionalism, his energy, and his Nets team showed that. So even though it didn't show up, I'm not a big fan of moral victories, but at the same time, they showed some things. They impressed me a little bit, even in loss. But Toronto did what Toronto was supposed to do. Toronto, a lot of that team is still championship made. Kawhi, notwithstanding, they're still a championship core and they're still professionals. So they stepped up and they did what they had to do. They got them up out of there. So shout out to Toronto for taking care of what they had to take care of. Sweet to see. The Indiana series, again, I can't say I'm too shocked because I felt like they were super close as far as talent wise, but I think that was healthy. And they weren't healthy. Sabonis not being out there, it hurt them a lot because he is arguably their best player. Now T.J. Warren lit it up during that the bubble time frame, and Oladipo, you know what he can bring. But as far as a consistent presence, I think Sabonis was that, and he was just getting better. And I think that's what hurt him at this point because when you lose to Sabonis, that's the difference between right now going into a game 5 or game 6 to getting swept just because he's that talented and they were so close that they didn't have that margin for error. You could have put it the other way around. If Miami would have lost Duncan Robinson or if Miami would have lost a Goran Dragic or somebody of that ilk, it would have been the same thing. I think they would have ended up getting swept. But I think at the end of the day, Miami needs to get ready for Giannis then. Because they know that's what's coming. Orlando did them a solid by giving them an extra day. But at the end of the day, we all know what's coming. So they need to get on their P's and Q's, and you only can do that if you take care of what you need to take care of early. And Miami was, make sure to do that. So I'm impressed by that. Philly, however, colossal disappointment. Colossal. Because you have to get you one. Now, again, you would have lost the series. Losing Ben Simmons was a huge thing, and there's no denying that. But at the end of the day,
what kept Ben out?
Knee surgery.
He had knee surgery.
Okay.
But at some point, Embiid, you have to win this game. Like, that's how I feel. When you're a superstar player of that caliber, and we'll touch on this later on in the show, but superstar players, make sure you don't lose games. And you may lose a series, but you'll get a game out of that. And Embiid, he didn't do that. He didn't dominate, and that's something I've been asking for him for a while. And I need to see it at some point because he's had the matchup. Philly, even without Ben Simmons, is still a pretty good team. They just disappointed the entire year. And they ended up getting swept the way that a disappointing year should have ended up. But it doesn't shock me, but I'm still extremely disappointed in them because they should have been better.
Okay. What about you, Marvell?
I for the Nets series against who did the Nets play? I just lost the train of thought.
Toronto.
When the Nets played Toronto, I actually had a lot of faith in them in the Nets getting one game because of the momentum that I saw in that city boy Karis LeVert. I thought that Karis LeVert would be able to lead them to one game. I was thoroughly impressed with his game against Portland before the playoffs started. And I thought that he would be able to carry that momentum, knowing what they had in Brooklyn with nobody there, basically either to COVID or to injury. I thought that there was going to be somebody to step up on that team. You don't necessarily expect it from a Jarrett Allen. You could see him step up from a defensive standpoint, maybe a couple more points, maybe even turn to like a Bam Adebayo type of player. And you also look at Karis LeVert as just the one player that could score. He picks his spots very well. He's like a hot zone type of shooter. Like he gets to his spots very well. He drives very strong. But I don't think it was enough for one of the top defenses for Toronto. Toronto did what they were supposed to do, like T said. Pascal Siakam is looking like a great Robin. And from what I've seen from Fred VanVleet, I really like Fred VanVleet a lot. He's in his mid to going into his late 20s, but I think that's a perfect replacement for Kyle Lowry whenever he decides to step down. I think that with that core right there, especially defensively, with OG Anunoby, with him going from the 3 to the 4 and whatnot, I think that's going to be very troublesome for any other team that's coming out of the East, even for a team like Milwaukee. Just Milwaukee is starting to scare me in the sense of what is Middleton going to do? We'll talk on Middleton a little later on in the show, but it's just Giannis can't do everything by himself, and it's clear. And they don't have the front court defense overall to stop a lot of these teams. So, and looking into the series with Miami with the Pacers, I thought that at least the Pacers were going to take 2. I really did. Again, with the whole Karis LeVert thing, I expected the same thing from T.J. Warren because T.J. Warren was on fire for a minute. And I thought that he was going to carry over due to the simple fact I knew they were going to get Oladipo back, but I knew Oladipo wasn't going to be Oladipo. And then with Sabonis going down, it's not what could you do, And right before I stepped in the building today, we had got word that the Pacers had fired Coach Nate McMillan.
Dang, bro, we was gonna get to that, at some point later on in the show, but keep going.
My apologies.
Keep going.
I just think that from that point, it's just not fair because of the injuries that were sustained with that team and the bad luck that they had ran into. I never really anticipated them being swept. I thought they would at least get two, maybe one, for sure. And then when we came through with Philly and Boston, oh man, I don't know. See, we're starting to get to the point where how do you build around Joel Embiid and or Ben Simmons? We're still revisiting the conversation of, well, do you trade one of them or what do you do? The loss of Ben Simmons was astronomical because he can guard 1 through 5 if he wanted to, mainly 1 through 4, but he would have definitely put some pressure on Kemba Walker. He would have definitely put some pressure on Jason Tatum. And really, that was Kemba's series, if we're going to be honest. That was Kemba's series. And Kemba is starting to show that he's built for this. And I appreciate this a lot because of the unsuccessful times that he's had in Charlotte. That's unfair to his career. But I think that it's going to show that he's made for this. And this is a great team for him. So the next challenge is going to be, who's he playing?
The Celtics.
The Celtics. Oh, yeah, the Celtics.
They play the Raptors.
They play the Raptors. That's going to be an excellent series. We'll preview that later on, but
maybe they'll play the Raptors. Because I know there was talk about them boycotting because of what happened with the shooting. So
Jacob Blake.
Yeah, and more power to them. I respect it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely stand up for your city and what your rights are. I definitely respect that a lot as well. They're doing what they believe is the right thing. These players came with a positive cause anyway.
All right.
So that's a tremendous part of itself. So that's what my breakdowns were for the playoffs, for the teams that lost. So can I ask you guys a question though?
That's good.
Where do the teams that got eliminated? What should they do now?
Well, I mean, all of them fired their coaches, didn't they?
Let's see.
The
Philly
Bucks
fired their coach.
Hold on, I
Brett
just
Brown's
pulled this
gone.
up.
Nate McMillan's gone.
Indiana fired theirs.
Philly, Pacers.
And
The Knicks didn't fire their coach, did they?
Nets, no.
What is
I
it with
keep
you
saying
with
the
this
Knicks.
Knicks, bro?
Hey.
Well, no, I got.
You're a
I
Knickerbocker fan.
pulled up the NBA coaches, and I'm looking at Tim Thibodeau right now. That's why. My bad.
Tim Thibodeau?
Stop going out.
Thibodeau,
Stop
Thibodeau.
going out before you.
His name is Thibodeau.
Tom Thibodeau.
Did I say Tim?
Yeah, you said Tim Thibodeau.
Sheesh. Man.
What is up? I had a good night's sleep too.
You had a good
I bet you
night.
did.
Man.
Passed out.
Still sleep.
You sleep on the porch?
Wow.
You didn't even make it in the crib, did it?
Anyway, the Nets already fired their coach too.
Yeah, that's right. The Nets.
Kenny Atkinson?
Yeah, he got fired before that.
Yeah.
And I think that was all that got eliminated so far, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So far.
Basically, start fighting over coaches. That's what it's about to be. That's the number one thing. Before they get their coach, we don't know right now. Ty Lue, I know he's a hot name out there, but
I mean, he's assistant coach for
The Clippers.
the Clippers, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it may be a while before they can get their coach.
You think Jason Kidd gonna get another chance?
He's gonna get another interview, I think.
Okay.
Not necessarily sure if he would. Philly, I wouldn't think that would be a bad spot for him. Just because, I mean, one, he's already coached in that, so that rules them out.
All right.
Indiana, I don't see him going there because Jason Kidd is more big city type of dude. Philly, not necessarily saying it's a huge city, but Philly's Philly.
Right.
Jason Kidd is familiar with that area. And I think if nothing else, you kind of look at, I think he wasn't that great of a coach for Milwaukee when he coached there, but I think that a lot of Giannis's development had to do with Jason Kidd and the seeds that he planted early. So I think Jason Kidd could maybe mentor Ben Simmons. And, Ben Simmons can look at Jason Kidd as kind of an example, too. Jason Kidd wasn't a great shooter for a while. But once his career, went a little bit, progressed a little bit, Jason Kidd started hitting threes. And now I think last check, Jason Kidd was the number 3 most made 3-point shots. So
I don't know. We could look it up though.
yeah, go ahead and look, double check for me, fact check for me. But I know he's up there, and that would have been unheard of back when Jason Kidd was really doing his thing. So I think if he can coach Ben Simmons up, because that's what really this is about for Philly. It's not about everybody else. It's about getting Ben Simmons and getting Joel Embiid to play together and fit whatever else you need to fit around them, which is probably going to be shooters, but do what you need to do. I think Philly needs to look at Miami as a model, to be all the way honest. I think Philly just threw a lot of money at a lot of known players, like this was NBA 2K, and they got what they got, a 6 seed out of it and bounced in the first round. So I think that they need to, get a coach that's going to work with the skill sets of their star players that they have, whether that is Ty Lue, whether it is Jason Kidd, or whether that's somebody we're not thinking of right now. They need to take care of that.
All right, and he was third all. Jason Kidd was third all time in NBA regular season triple doubles, third in playoff triple doubles, and he was second for career assists and steals, and ninth and 3 pointers made.
All right.
Yeah, nice.
I knew he was somewhere, in the top 10, but still, it's
Right.
the fact that Jason Kidd was never known as a shooter. He kind of had the same skill set as the Ben Simmons. He just was a lot smaller. Ben Simmons is 6'10", Jason Kidd was 6'4", but he still had that kind of element to his game, and he learned how to shoot. So I think if nothing else, if he can get with Ben Simmons and get with Joel Embiid and really teach them, because Jason Kidd's number one thing was his basketball IQ. The way he played the game, the way he went about it. I think he might have been humble because the Nets, they hired him fresh off of retirement. He wasn't ready yet. The Bucks, they thought that they were getting a more developed Jason Kidd, which they did, which helped them with Giannis. He couldn't get everybody else together. Now it's, more time, being around more star power, being around another big kind of small forward dynamic too that can help him in his coaching conquest. And it's a respectable name that that can make Philly happy and make their players happy.
Right.
So, I can see them looking at him if it doesn't become Ty Lue. I still think Ty Lue's the number one name on the market, but we just still have to see how things transpire. And if there's a mystery name too, the Nets are another name. We're thinking of Philly and we're thinking of Indiana, but at the same time, the Nets and Kyrie Irving, Ty Lue, that thing coexists. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Ty Lue was a big veteran, big brother to a lot of younger cats. And I know Durant, he likes it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So a lot of these hires will be with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid in mind, with Durant and Kyrie Irving in mind, with Sabonis and TJ Warren, Oladipo in mind. So it's just more so getting guys a coach that can fit their team needs, and they're gonna have to rush to do it because free agency is gonna happen quick and right before the season starts.
Also, I know they didn't make the playoffs, but we still got the Pelicans and the Bulls. They got positions that need to be filled too. So,
and that's another wild card because with a guy like like a Ty Lue, again, speaking on him, he may want to go to a more veteran squad, but then again, he may not. Right. He may look at a Zion, may look at Alonzo, especially being a championship coach already, and think he got a little bit of time to make sure
develop them.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then, you still got the Brett Browns of the world out there. You still got Kenny Atkinson. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a run around with head coaches. So they're just going to have to figure it all out. And, before, again, that's all said and done, you need to hire a coach before we know the landscape of your team. So, going to your question, Marvell, I think that's the number one thing that all these teams have to do is hire their head coach. And, a lot of these teams are looking at head coaches that they can't even talk to until the season is over. And if you're looking at the Clippers and the LA, and another name, Sam Cassell, sitting on that same Clipper bench. That's a name that deserves the job that hasn't really got looks. Darvin Ham's another name.
And you brought those two names up the last show, too.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's just, figuring out what your identity of your squad, and they hit the ground running that way.
All right.
I'm glad, Rondell, that you actually brought up the Bulls and that you brought up the Pelicans.
Right.
Because that actually brings a whole different dynamic to the conversation that I actually could see for destinations of a lot of the coaches that we just discussed. Prime example, I would absolutely love to see Brett Brown be the new head coach of the Pelicans. That would be fire.
You think after Philly let him go, he gonna go to the Pelicans?
Hear me out on this one. So with Brett Brown, He's a defensive-minded coach, right?
All right.
And my whole thing about looking at the Pelicans roster, if they were to be intact, like say if it was right now, the Pelicans in the next couple years, I guarantee you, if that roster or like the core stays intact, I guarantee you that's going to be probably a top 3 defensive team in the league within the next few years. And with Brett Brown being one of the best defensive coaches in the league, I think that's a terrific match. You have someone that's unique in their own style that you've coached with Ben Simmons that isn't necessarily like the greatest shooter in the world. You have that with Zion. Zion is kind of like a basis of like you still have a lot to mold. You still have that kind of mentality with Simmons, but of course, Zion is more willing to shoot. So that's going to be less of a headache. Or you can even just think of it like that the same way, but with Lonzo Ball. And then you could think of Zion as like a MB type of esque player. You can also look at what you could do with Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram could be somewhat of like a Tobias Harris-esque like coachable player. I'm talking as far as like not in comparison to the players, but I'm just as far as like what Brett Brown has experienced. So when you look at the talent, especially the long-term talent, I think Brett Brown would flourish in there, especially with the Western Conference kind of like being a little bit wacky. You don't know who's going to be good. That's the weird part. It's more solidified back then who you knew was going to be like there. With the West, you don't really know anymore. You could take advantage of that, especially with the young core. They can be up there with like a Denver as far as the young core goes. In fact, they probably have a better young core than Denver, maybe potentially. Kenny Atkinson, I think will match well with the Bulls. I think that he has the patience enough to deal with young talent, especially when he had at one point D'Angelo Russell. What he did there with that, he could do with Kobe White. He could do with Zach LaVine. I think they have a good roster to them. They just need a direction. You still have Wendell Carter Jr. You still have Laurie Markkinen. I think Otto Porter Jr. is very serviceable if he stays. It's a big contract, I believe. I think he asked for a lot of money, but you still have him. And you can make a couple more roster moves. I really expected a lot from the Bulls, like when the season started. I thought they would at least be like an 8th seed, but you also have who else would be missing? I think Jason Kidd would fit with the Pacers. I think that would fit. I think that
though his style of coaching fits more with Oladipo in there.
I think that coming with Oladipo, if he gets a full off-season rest,
right,
and you have a guard like Jason Kidd who's dealt with his own injuries before, and someone that could be in that mentor role, I think that what they'll do is they'll lean more towards a pick and roll IQ-esque type of style, especially if you were to, like you said before we started the show, I think you said that Miles Turner before Sabonis would have to get the boot, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So be that as it may, he still has Sabonis to try to craft into a great player to fit around Oladipo with the pick and roll game that they would have, or they can keep Miles Turner and they can run with a great defense because Jason Kidd was a good defensive player as well. Was there anyone that I was thinking I was missing? I think Ty Lue would go great with the Sixers. Either the Sixers or the Nets. I think that either one of those are great fits. I think that the most likely fit will possibly be the Nets because of the simple fact of you have Kyrie Irving and you have Kevin Durant. They have all the say-so in the world of who they want.
You have Joe Harris, actually. That's an underrated factor.
Very underrated.
Ty Lue was on that staff when Joe Harris was there, so I mean, it's a thing, and I mean, I can definitely see Ty Lue going there. It's just again picking your spot, and that's what happens with your championship coach. You're allowed to sit back, relax, because let's not forget he was one of the candidates for the Lakers job this year. He turned it down, and that was before the Clippers job even came up. So Ty Lue was completely comfortable sitting at the crib chilling, counting that money because the Cavs still have to pay him because we fired him, when he still had his contract out there. So I just think that he's, looking at it now, you got the big markets, you got young up and coming teams, you just have everything you want, or you're already on that Clipper staff. So it's not like you have to go get you another job. You still got that NBA money from back when you played, so he's not hurting for a check. He can sit back and really pick the best spot for him. But I agree with that one. Like I could see the Nets being that because Kyrie didn't have a problem with Ty Lue. Kyrie had a problem with himself, really. When it's all said and done, I think that's what the biggest issue was. But it wasn't like, oh, I hate the coach or I hate this, I hate that. It's just the little man was confused. So I think that doesn't stop Tyler Lue from taking that job, and he hasn't had a chance to coach Durant. And he probably wants to, he likes that dynamic too. I can win with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving doing it. Let me see what Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant does.
Exactly.
Take it that way. So
I think a little thing that I've definitely thought about as far as the Ty Lue thing that you just mentioned, as far as declining the head coaching job for the Lakers and taking on the assistant coaching job for the Clippers. I think the narrative is that Ty Lue decided not to take the Lakers job because he knew the narrative that could come with being a coach of LeBron James.
Yeah, definitely.
The narrative being like, if they win, it's all Bron. If they lose, it's all y'all.
Yep.
So there's no sense of taking that pressure. And you're in the franchise with the Lakers. The Lakers is the second.
So I mean, would he take that pressure again?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't know. Like, he didn't know how the season was going to progress. That's the one key factor of like making decisions like this. He didn't know that the Lakers were going to be this good. They didn't know what the Lakers were going to get. Cause I think at the time they were still like trying to get a rumor of like Kyrie Irving going over there at that point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a repeat of Cleveland. So yeah, I would try to stay away from that if I was Ty Lue. And then like if you look at Ty Lue going into a place like a Philly, it's less pressure, but it's also still a lot of pressure. It's not the pressure of you gotta win a championship this season type of pressure. Especially being with, what I'm saying, if you were the coach of the Lakers and coaching Bron. It's more so like, okay, you got a roster that's really, really good, that has playoff expectations, and they're still young, and they still have a great core in Embiid and in Simmons. All you need to do is coach them to where you can get them together, and then they can show off their true potential.
I mean, to be honest, are they going to keep both of them? Because there was rumors early in the season about Ben Simmons. Or what are the rumors?
General manager, there was rumors. General manager Elton Brand, which is the weirdest thing to say ever. General manager Elton Brand said he has no intentions of trading either of them, and he wants to build around them.
Okay.
But again, like I was saying before, how do you build around them now at this point? You gotta build them around like the early 2010s Miami Heat. You have your core big three.
You stay comparing teams, you know that.
I do a lot of comparisons. I do. It's like you have. Okay, so hear me out on this. You have your core three.
Right.
It could be.
Wait, who's the core three?
Embiid, Simmons, and Harris.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, because Tobias can give you a solid 20 points and maybe 10 rebounds.
Yeah, I'll give you that because I can't think of anyone else.
Because you can put him at the 3 or the 4. So
showing Al Horford.
Yeah, it ain't Al Horford. It would have been Al Horford maybe like 8 years ago, but not Al Horford now.
Long way from Kansas, Toto.
Facts. Man. So if you had that core three and then you just surround them with just some of the greatest shooters in the world, just shooters everywhere, and then have like a Mario Chalmers, and then just have him there, and that's it.
A Mario Chalmers.
A Mario Chalmers-esque player, and that's it. Someone that can get the blame.
Mario Chalmers just woke up.
That's crazy.
Bro, I swear I heard somebody call my name.
Oh, girl, snap, my name relevant still. Oh,
yeah. Crazy. Like, man, you having nightmares again. Nah, I swear, somebody's saying my name.
I think LeBron yelling at me again.
Shout out to Aaron Boogie Moore. He said Philly needs some shooters, and that's it. They need 3-and-D players.
Look at you over there reading comments, interacting with the people.
I actually thought that Josh Richardson was going to help them a lot.
He could have. It's just Philly didn't help themselves. And to Boogie Moore's credit, shout out to him once again, my dog. He's right. Going back to what I said about they need to build a team like Miami. That's what they have to do. They have to surround them with shooters. If you don't have, Embiid can shoot the ball, but Embiid's like a 31% 3-point shooter. You don't want him shooting that shot, especially when he can do whatever he wants down in the paint. Ben Simmons is the same thing. Okay, that's cool. If that's what you are, let them be that. Get them some shooters. You need to find them some, the Duncan Robinsons of the world. The you can find you a Kyle Korver-esque player. You're not going to find too many Kyle Korvers, no. But if you have defenders, that's the problem with having too many shooters. You don't have defenders.
Right.
You have Ben Simmons who can, like you said, guard from 1 through 4, maybe some 5s. He can play defense. You have Embiid who can be a force. He's an absolute dominant force when he locked in wants to be. All right, now surrounded with shooters. The last year when they did make it further, they had Ilyasovas of the world. They had JJ Reddick's of the world. They had shooters, TJ McConnell. All those guys helped take the pressure off of Ben Simmons.
Wait, what happened to where's JJ Redick now?
JJ Redick in New Orleans,
Yeah,
TJ
he's in
McConnell
Orleans.
in Indiana.
I think that this is JJ Redick's first year missing the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's nuts.
Yeah, but they need guys that can spread the floor so they can be their best. Even Jimmy Butler wasn't a shooter, but Jimmy Butler was a guy that made timely shots and hit big time buckets when you needed him to do it. He was an alpha male type of dude. Philly doesn't have any of that right now. They got a whole bunch of good players, and that's why I said they're a 2K team built because it's like doing a fantasy draft. We draft the best players around, and then we look up and we're a 6 seed, and we're wondering how did this happen? Well, they don't all fit. You don't need another mega score. You don't need to be giving Tobias Harris $130 million. You don't need to be giving Al Horford $95 million. For what? A 6 seed? That's no good.
And he's like
Build
36,
around talent.
37.
I was gonna say, who giving Al Horford that much money?
Philly did.
That's crazy.
They threw money like they was at Magic City.
Yeah,
Like
they
was
need
out
to-
there
And
with
for
Lou
him to
Will.
be on the bench
They need to go back to
the
the
mass
drawing
majority
board.
of the season.
Just like this with Al Horford.
That's
I don't
crazy.
know why he was washed. Got the
Yeah,
bullet
like the
holes
last couple seasons he had in Boston was kind of washed.
That's wild.
They
It was
just-
productive, but it was
They
washed.
just picked up the name. That was it. And look what happened. It's about chemistry. It's about getting the right fit. And, like I said, it's not about Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to me. It's about everybody else who you have around them. This team around them this year was no good. Come on, man. Korkmaz, man. Come on. That's not doing it, bro. Like, that team makes my ear itch when I watch them, bro. I don't know. I'm glad Philly's out of it.
I just think that they don't play to their actual strengths.
He said Al Horford is 50, making $50 million. That man ain't never lied.
Yeah, I don't think that Philly plays to their strengths. And I don't know why. I don't think that they played enough to the strengths of Embiid specifically. Because I think that they try to turn him more into an outside guy. And
I mean, how we know it's not Embiid trying to do that to himself?
He does a lot of that to himself, in all honesty.
But really it was forced because remember like the 2015-16 season, they were trying to like push him to go outside more. And then he said in interviews within like the past year or two, I don't really like shooting threes, but I do anyway. I guess I got to. That's what the team needs, so I'll do it.
He need that
Because I guess what they do is they just look more at Embiid as just like, yeah, Ben Simmons is not going to get a jump shot, so we need you out there, even though you're going to shoot like maybe like 31%.
I don't know. Ben Simmons he's been working on that J.
He been working on
He's
that.
been working on the J for 7 years.
He been working on that longer than Dr. Dre was on the relapse. That one- I'm still, which one comes first? Ben Simmons and threes or Dr. Dre's album? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just about fit. It's just about getting the best players around, your best players, and that's not a Brett Brown problem. That's an Elton Brand problem. So now it's you fired the head coach. Let's see what you do. One thing I will say before we move on is I think the coaching free agency is going to be way more interesting than the actual free agency.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
It's lined up to be that way, and I'm looking forward to seeing who goes where, man. I mean, Philly might as well go call Meek Mill and freaking Kevin Hart, because outside of that, boy, they're gonna need something.
Dear NBA teams, if you need a coach, hire me.
No. I already knew what she was gonna say. No.
You don't have no
Nah,
faith in me being a coach?
Zero.
Why?
Is there anything less than zero?
If they should call anyone, it should be coach.
Like, I'm doing the not even him.
What, he coaches basketball?
No, but he made a bad
Okay.
move.
All right, yeah.
With the patella tendon thing.
Okay, you're right.
I'm knocking coach for that one.
That's crazy.
Until he gets back here, He will
So
hear
now
from
y'all
me.
just going to just shun him out because he has a bad patella?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Y'all
try
ain't
to-
supporting
Yes.
nothing.
Bro, I try to
Yes.
live him,
Y'all
bro.
support nobody. It's just y'all. It's y'all just y'all own tag team.
Hey,
That's crazy.
Y'all not even tag team champions.
Where
Like,
does
what-
y'all
what's
come
going
from,
on
bro?
what you mean? I like to, what? Stop playing with me.
All
Next
right.
subject, please.
All right, well, we about to go on break. When we come back, we'll be talking about PG and Middleton, who needs to step up more going on, because they're moving on to the second round, so they need to step up. All right, but we'll be back.
Hated in life.
And we are back.
I hate you. You don't do no countdown or nothing.
Right when I'm saying that?
Yo,
Oh,
I
man.
did not expect my commercial to cut off like that, man.
Nah, bro. You be doing that on purpose.
I'll say it again though. It was the worst show that ever hit the
I
planet.
mean, they didn't hear everything you said though.
About Wilbur and your mama.
Yeah, they didn't hear you say that your mama was the worst show. They just heard the worst show.
Well, now they're hearing Wilmer Valderrama and Yo Mama was the worst show that has
Yeah, your
ever
mama
hit
didn't
the
age
planet.
well at all.
Bro,
The
Age
pride of
well
your
at
hood. Who
all,
does
bro.
that? Who settles scores that way?
That's actually a good point. Who
How do you
settle
just find
scores
random
that way?
people just crowded up already? Like, hey, you want to be on TV and spit your mama jokes that you probably just freestyle off the top of your head?
I mean, it was a funny show though. Come on, man.
It just aged
wasn't,
horribly.
bro.
It wasn't funny. to
No,
you?
he was already grown before
That's
we
right.
watched it,
That's
so it's just like
Wilmer
he was our
Va-
age already.
Think about that for a minute. Wilmer Valderrama is setting up battles
That's probably like
In
the
New
weirdest
York, in
part.
Atlanta, and all
That's-
to
that.
settle problems.
That's
with
the weirdest part
neighborhood.
because the biggest thing he known for is being Fez off of that '70s show, and he out here with Yo Mama. Like, okay,
They're proud of your hood. Like, they're proud of your hood. Like, come on, get this dude out of here, bro. Let's start back the show. Welcome back, everybody.
welcome
We're
back.
getting it together.
This is Open Gym
This is Raw and Uncut, man.
on Score On There at Facebook.com, or you can catch us at ScoreOnThere.com. Daily shows, content, everything. So go check us out.
Or just keep continuing on Facebook and look up Score On Air Network. Follow us there.
All right, so you want to take over?
I was just adding on. I can't help. I was a part of the team too.
You right.
Dang.
I'm not
You
even
got
tripping.
it.
I'm tripping.
Carry on.
No. But
I was just playing 2 ball. Go ahead.
Aaron Moore said $1,000 in cash money.
And cash money.
Oh, that show, man. No.
$1,000 in cash
Your
money.
Hope y'all know I'm saying that all day. Proud of your
Well, I'm about to
hood.
say that all day. But
come on now, y'all never used them jokes.
What? You use them jokes?
I never used them specifically,
so
but
what
you
you
might
on
have.
us about?
No, I mean like I knew people who would use some of them jokes.
You need a better friends.
I didn't say
That's
they was
what I
my
figured.
friends. I
You
just said
need
I
to
knew
know
people.
better people. Nobody I knew used Yo Mama jokes.
Bro, back
more than
in middle
Aaron
school, come
Rodgers.
on.
This is so
You need a
unfortunate.
better
Come on,
friend,
man. Back in middle school, people used to do a lot of things. Man.
No, I used to know the free credit score song by heart in
I
elementary
still know
school.
it.
FREE, that spells free. RedditReport.com, baby. So that ads on my TV. Oh, I don't even know that anymore.
I do
Come on,
still randomly say 1-800-SAFE Auto. Pick up your phone.
That's crazy.
They job
I know
done.
the JG Wentworth. Come on now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, the original one?
Hey, 877 cash now, man.
Every time
know
with
that.
Judge Joe Brown. Right after school.
Come on, bro. All right, let's get back on topic. So we talking Pandemic P, or Chris Middleton, Cash Money himself, who needs to step up more. So
Whew.
y'all got the stats right.
I got the stats.
Let's hear it.
So, what we're looking at right now, as far as Chris Middleton goes, in the playoffs this year, he's averaging 13.5 points, 7.3 rebounds, shooting at an atrocious 58% from free throw. That's not like Middleton at all. 37% from 3, 34% from field goal. Period. And playing 31 and a half minutes a game. What are we doing here?
Apparently sharing the same girl with Pandemic Paul.
I mean, he's averaging about 5 assists. But that's not
That's
Same
wild.
girl.
same girl.
Same girl.
So with Pandemic P, I mean that performance last night kind of helped him with his stats because if we were going to get on him before last night, so he's averaging 21 and a half, with 4 assists, a steal and a half, 5 relatively close to 6 rebounds a game, shooting 87% from free throw, shooting 41% from 3, and from field goal range he's shooting 44%. Oh, I'm sorry, this is his regular season. Oops, this is terrible.
Wait, were you reading both of their regular season?
No, I was reading Middleton's playoff. I just accidentally.
Oh, you was
read
reading his playoff total.
Yeah, I accidentally read off. I read off the wrong thing. Paul
Right,
George.
well.
So Paul George is averaging 19. He averages 4 fouls a game. That's bad. A steal, 3.5 assists, 6 rebounds. He's shooting 100% from free throw. That's good, I guess. 27% from 3 and 37% from field goal range. Playing 35 and a half minutes.
Yikes.
So who needs to step up more?
Well, from the stats, Chris Middleton. But if we're gonna be honest, who got the bigger job is, Pandemic P.
Well, first, Aaron Moore said Middleton been trashed during the playoffs, but that's what happens when that's your number 2.
That's
Clearly he's not a fan.
clearly
of Middleton. But I think to answer your question, Middleton needs to step up more because there's no room for error when you're Milwaukee. Flat out. Giannis is far and away their best player. I get that, but it can quickly become a Cleveland situation with LeBron James all over again. And Middleton can look very much like Mo Williams, where he masqueraded as a number 2.
You went all the way to the first 7 years?
I'll take it back.
Wow,
He had
but
the
Mo
all-star
Williams,
level.
Not even Larry Hughes.
Right? I was about to say.
Not even Ricky Davis.
Nope.
But Mo, the one time
Not even
All-Star?
Sasha Popovich?
Nope.
John Legend Jr.
You could have gave him Boogie.
No.
Was it Boogie or Bogey? Booby. That's what it was. That's the weirdest nickname. We're not even gonna talk about it.
Hey, I don't. Yeah. But anyway, I think that the Clippers can afford to have a couple bad games with Paul George. They've had, and they still been able to, win a couple games out of it that way. Because you have a Lou Williams, you have a Reggie Jackson, you have just a plethora of talent. Shamit, people forget about him, but there's people that can compensate. If Middleton's not bringing his A game, then you have to depend on DiVincenzo. You have to depend on Connaughton. You have to depend on George Hill. Name me one of those names that tells you that they can step up.
I mean, he got Bledsoe.
Name me one of those names that tells me that they can step up.
Bledsoe was holding it down for years in Phoenix, wasn't he?
Yeah, they were watching the playoffs during the playoff time. You can do so much.
Phoenix didn't make the playoffs this year, so what are we even bringing that up?
Okay.
But needless to say, I don't trust the rest of that talent, and they cannot afford to have to, especially as it progresses, because Miami's going to load up on Giannis. They're going to try to make everybody else beat you. Chris Middleton's an all-star player, and this year, regular season-wise, he played like a top 10 talent. I'm going to need to see that in the playoffs, or you'll be going home early, and Giannis will be going to another team. So, of course, it's Middleton. Flat out.
Now, the clear answer here is Chris Middleton. Due to the simple fact, clearly, I like T was saying, T didn't miss a beat. I definitely trust the talent around the core players of the Clippers than I do with the Bucks, because when you have a team that has an injured Pat Bev, we're not going to speak on Pat Bev. We could, but we're not. You have 2 players coming off the bench that are both going for 6th man of the year, averaging 18 a game. Right? Paul George just scored 35 last night. So if you put those 2 averages together, it still equals up more than that one, by 1 point.
He scored 30.
35.
We don't count that 5. He scored 30.
What 5 are we not counting?
I don't know, but we ain't counting it.
How do you not count 5?
They still would have won by 38 points, but that's crazy.
That's why he took his OGT. He was like, we ain't gonna count These 5.
Yeah, we not gonna count it.
Do what I want. All right, round there.
But with Chris Middleton, people don't recognize this. But at one point, before Giannis became Giannis, Chris Middleton was going to have to be that one person to put the ball through the hoop. You know what I mean? Through a consistent basis, because it was, all right, we're starting to figure out who this young man is. We need a distraction. So they have Middleton. Middleton became an all-star. Now we got to put more recognition on him. You don't have a lot of people on that roster that can step up. You don't. What's DaVincenzo? DaVincenzo's not going to do a lot for you. I mean, he could, but he's not there yet. I think this is the wrong time for him to put up something ridiculous. It's the right time, but it's just I don't think it goes with momentum.
I mean, they got the Bledsoe brother. Not Lopez.
Lopez brothers.
They got the Lopez brothers.
They don't play a lick of defense. Neither one of them.
I mean, Robin,
it shows.
Robin used to be something. What team was Robin on before?
Robin Lopez was on a few teams.
He was on a few.
But he's up there in age. But he's not going to do anything for you spectacular. He's not even like an Andrew Bogut.
I mean, I'm just saying, you say they don't really got anyone to step up.
They don't. Brooke Lopez is washed. Robin Lopez never had offense. Bledsoe's not going to lead you to a game. He got cooked by Terry Rozier. Clearly. He got cooked.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm looking at this team. They got Kyle Korver. He could give you a few threes, maybe.
He's 39. What is he going to do?
I mean, he can still give you a few threes.
All those players can do some things, but it's just the consistent, I got you kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, who's going to be your more consistent too?
It just doesn't, I don't want to go in having to depend on DiVincenzo to do stuff. I like to get what I can get out of DiVincenzo. I don't want to depend on Korver to do stuff. Get what you can get, because Middleton and Giannis is the two things that keep everything moving. If Giannis is doing his job but Middleton's not, you're going home.
It's hard. It's extremely hard to move a role player to a number 2. It's extremely hard, especially in a playoff setting like right now, this deep into a series. It's hard to do that. You have to have a stern conversation and a heavy game plan towards, okay, yeah, we know that you don't get a lot of touches or nothing, but we're going to need you to have 30. Help out Giannis real quick. Giannis is going to give us 35, 40. You know what I'm saying? A ridiculous amount of rebounds, a couple assists. We just need somebody that's going to drop 20 to 25. At least the third person to do it, because Middleton could give you a 20, but he's going to give you a bare minimum of 13 on a bad night. You know what I'm saying? So if you were anticipating a bad night, you still need someone to drop 20.
What did you say you were shooting from free throw? 58% or something like that?
To go back.
I'm really looking at this team. They got nobody to step up at all.
He's shooting 58% from free throw.
Yeah,
how are they the most dangerous team in the East? They really got no one.
And Middleton is actually shooting 91% from the season.
And that's what I'm saying. He's a 50, 40, 90 guy before this.
Yeah.
So to me, I mean, and one thing I don't want to kind of shun about the whole situation is the mental things that Paul George's talking about, just the depression and being in a dark place. And I don't discount that not being a situation with Middleton either. It's an adjustment for these players. I do not deny any of that, but at the same time, you sign up for things knowing it's going to be hard. You had the ability to opt out. Some players opted out. So to me, I get it, and I definitely feel like the mental aspect should be addressed. I think you should be able to, do whatever gets you together and get your mind together.
But I mean, they have the option to leave the bubble. Yeah. Also, we saw that plenty of times.
And that's my thing with it. It's kind of, when a player gets hurt, and then they say, well, and I heard this with Steph Curry a lot. Oh, well, he's a little hurt. He's a little banged up. No excuse. He's out there. So if you're out there, I need you to, participate. I need you to do what you need to do. If not, you're free to go home. You know what I'm saying? Do what you need to do to take care of yourself, because before this basketball thing, you have yourself.
Mental health is the most important thing in life.
It's the number one thing.
In life.
So, take care of that if that's what you have to take care of. If not, I don't want to hear, after a bad game, I'm in a dark place. Well, where are you at after a good game? You know what I'm saying? Like, is
Happy
it,
place.
huh?
I said happy place.
Then play
Right.
better. You know what I'm saying? At that point, play better. I'm not saying that's what's happening with Middleton, but
All right.
it's just so many different things and aspects come into play. But at the end of the day, once that ball goes up in the air, nobody on the other end of that court is like, "Oh, I care about what you're going through in your life."
No one it will.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to get out there and play ball. So if I'm gonna have you out here to win a championship, you're gonna have to lock in and focus on what you need to lock in and focus on. If not, go home and take care of what you need to take care of. Easy as that.
Now,
If you're gonna be here, do what you need to do.
can I play devil's advocate real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the reasons why Paul George will have to step up more than Chris Middleton is. Look at the reason why the Clippers are here today. The Clippers are here today to make sure the Lakers don't get no far. Because the Lakers, they see it. They literally built this team to beat the Lakers. Literally. That's their whole ordeal. Granted, you still have the rest of the Western Conference. The Western Conference is nowhere near easy. In looking at Middleton, you could get carried by an MVP in the Eastern Conference.
All
You know how
right.
many times that's been proven?
I mean, LeBron proved it. his whole
LeBron,
career.
AI,
Uh,
anybody.
D Wade.
D Wade.
He carried a less than stellar Shaq. So
Yeah, and one of the greatest playoff runs ever, and we'll probably talk about that next week.
Yeah.
So looking at that, Paul George has a lot riding on him too, because remember, Paul George at one point was a number one option, right? And just last year, we were talking about Paul George being a top 3 MVP candidate
Were we?
for OKC.
Yeah.
Remember that year he had an OKC where he was bugging for like a month straight?
I mean, I didn't feed into it.
Definitely got on this Jim Jones balling tip.
Yeah, like
Sure.
he was out of his mind for OKC last year.
But we've
So-
seen that before. So
But what I'm saying is we have higher expectations as a player from the standpoint of Paul George because of what we've seen.
right.
And with Paul George, you can count Paul George as a top 15 player. With Middleton, it's going to be hard to make that argument. Well,
I mean,
harder. It'll be harder to make that argument.
It's easy to make the argument he's top 30, but top 15. That's
it's
not
just
even
extremely difficult. You can make that argument for Paul George. I mean, you could if you don't want to go 15, you can go 20 for sure.
No, I was saying for Chris Middleton, you could make that argument. He's top 30.
Yeah.
But it's undebatable. Nah, he's not in the top 15.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So with that expectation and what we know from Paul George and the fact that he hasn't made it out the first round since 2014, we don't look at Middleton. We don't care because we know who carries you.
Right.
It's Paul George at this point. We know that he's went through that injury with Team USA.
Yeah.
We get that. But at the same time, the flashes that we've seen, there's no way a talent like that is not making it past the first round.
Yeah. and
Absolutely not. It's inexcusable.
that's why I said when you read out the stats, it's obvious Chris Middleton got to step up. But when you think on who has the bigger job, it's Paul George.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, he
Because
has to
especially
step up.
carrying on.
Yeah, definitely that.
Even though with Milwaukee having to face some extremely difficult defensive teams, they can win.
All right.
Their expectation is they're going to the finals for sure, granted, because there's no one in the East that's really a for sure pick like Milwaukee. But with what the Clippers have going on, having all that pressure of being built to beat the Lakers, being the team that can go to the finals, being in the Western Conference, having all that talent, having 2 players that average 18 off the bench, having a championship coach, having a championship assistant coach, all this going down, and you have a defensive player of the year candidate for the past couple of years in Pat Bev. You have all this, and dogs, Lou Williams. I'm just saying, you have all this talent right here. And you have all this on your back. You're the number 2, and you a strong number 2, and you do this, and then you look at it too, you were a number 2 and you didn't make it past the first round, and you were number 2 to a former MVP, averaging triple doubles. So it looks terrible on Paul George right now if he doesn't step up. It looks miserable. It looks bad. And then on top of that, this will be Kawhi's first round exit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if they lost.
If he lost.
Yeah.
And that would be on Paul George.
No, wait a
Kind of.
minute, time out. I don't think so. Didn't Kawhi was on that team when they lost to the Clippers the first round, wasn't they?
What year was
What
that?
year was that?
I mean, did they make the playoffs when he was sitting on that bench the whole time for the Spurs?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But that's when they lost to Golden State.
Okay.
Yeah, because remember he got injured because of Zaza.
No. They lost the next year. I think it was Golden State again. Yeah, it was
He
Golden
was
State.
next year.
Yeah, they lost. Golden State put them out when Kawhi got hurt, but then the next year San Antonio made the playoffs, but they played Golden State in the first round and got swept.
Spell this man's name. All right.
And they were smoking Golden State that game before he got hurt.
All right.
20.
I think it was higher than 20. I thought it was like 27. It was close to 30.
Wait, which year did you say? You said 2014?
When they beat the Clippers, I can't remember. I want to say it might have been 2016. Could have been. Just look up when the Warriors or when the Clippers beat the Spurs. But outside of that, I don't think Kawhi has missed the
Clippers beat
playoffs.
the Spurs.
I mean, I don't
want to
think-
say 2013.
I don't think it was that. It might have been. Can't remember, but I don't think that Kawhi's getting bounced in the first round this year. Mavericks was going to be a tough matchup,
It was 2013. I think they made the finals.
and I think shout out to the Mavericks too. I mean, they have a good game plan against Paul George. I mean, they kind of came in with one person's going to beat us. This was not going to be Kawhi and Paul George. It's going to be one or the other. And if you can look at last night's game, Kawhi Leonard, he had him a pretty good game, but he didn't explode or nothing like that. He just kind of was even killed. Paul George went crazy. I mean, the rest of the squad went crazy, but they're trying to take away somebody.
2015.
2015?
2015.
Yes, Kawhi is on that team, correct?
It should have been, yes.
Wait,
But did he play? I'm about to look up.
2014, 2015, or 2015, 2016?
I think it was 2014, 2015.
2014, 2015.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now.
And he was on that team, correct?
Yeah, he was on that team. Yeah, he went to 7 games against the Clippers.
Yes.
Wow.
That was the first time that he was bounced out the playoffs in the first round. Okay. But it's more so, I mean, Paul George he's going to need to play better as it progresses. Obviously, and that's the thing with the Clippers. That's the difference between the Clippers and the Bucks. The Clippers probably can make the conference finals without Paul George playing his best. There's no way the Bucks are making the conference finals or making it out really without that.
Right.
Because Middleton is so important to the rest of their squad. And again, if you can be a 50, 40, 90 kind of guy, I mean, you don't even have to do that in the playoffs. Give me a 45, 40, 83 guy. You can go far, but you have to depend on Middleton way more. And it's just, at least at this point, he hasn't been doing this thing, but that's not going to hurt him when it comes to Orlando. It did that game 1 when they got punched in the mouth and didn't know what to do, but now they're about to close them out. This is when it all starts, because again, Miami's going to take Giannis out of the equation, or at least try their hardest. They'll double him, they'll show a lot, they'll throw all kind of different looks, all kind of different bodies. There's going to be some things that Giannis is going to have to deal with that's going to open up some space for Middleton. If Middleton can't knock that shot down, not only does it hurt the Bucks, it hurts Giannis, because what happens when you hit your move and you want to break your man off and he's standing in that corner, the confidence is gone. I'm not going to want to pass it to you now. I'm going to have to pass it to Bledsoe for 33-foot brick. That's exactly what's going to happen. So
I think I just remembered one thing that was incredibly important, and this is going to shape up a lot. Mind you, Giannis is a free agent next year. This matters a lot. The high expectation of going to the finals, and your number 2 option ain't acting right.
I mean, but they can still lose and he can still leave. To be honest.
But what I'm saying, that's typically how NBA players think, though. Okay, like I lost, now I have a reason to leave. Now I can go to a bigger market.
That's because they like to blame everybody else for everything that goes wrong.
Yeah, a lot of people can't handle the criticism, so they go to a different teams. It's a psychological thing, especially like you in the middle to small market. Like now I can be in a bigger market. I can have more fun. I get to play with more exciting players because everyone wants to be in a bigger market. Everybody. There's nobody that wants to say, "Oh yeah, I want to play."
I mean, like when you look at Giannis, give him a few more years, he could be like LeBron. Like the market goes where LeBron goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. He has that type of talent and popularity.
Right.
But it's with the popularity within the market itself. You're talking about a personal market. I'm talking about the city's value.
No, I'm talking about the city's value too. Like we seen it when LeBron went back to Cleveland, the economy skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And he left, it fell back down.
Right.
So Giannis has that potential to do something like that.
Yeah, but before he can make that LeBron-esque impact, he could be gone.
Right.
Because LeBron spent, 7 seasons before he left?
Yeah. He spent 7
Giannis is on his 6th, 5th?
Giannis got drafted in 2013, so this will be 7. Yeah.
So, sounds about right.
But it's more so.
Giannis,
I mean, I get it, the big market, but what big market at this point? Because the Lakers, they're capped out. So to get Giannis, you'll have to get rid of LeBron, pretty much. Clippers, same thing. Kawhi, Paul George will have to go. One of them for Giannis. Now, granted, Giannis is Giannis, but you're doing all that with the hope of signing, and then you'll turn around and be the New York Knicks. You know, I'm pretty sure they're telling their fans right now.
I mean, New York's still a big place. It's still a big market in some.
It's just nobody wants to go there because they haven't won nothing in like 40 years.
Outside of Carmelo Anthony, was the last free agent that wanted to go to New York. So
I mean, look, we act like Brooklyn not in New York. So.
Well,
but that's the thing. It's exactly what KD said. KD said, "I chose Brooklyn because the Knicks aren't cool. Right. As long as I've been alive, they haven't won anything. I mean, they've only been to the finals once, and that was in '99. I was 3 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like they haven't done it. They have a very, very bad. They're known for having bad ownership. You know what I'm saying? And with the importance of how fragile the NBA players are today, as far as, like I said, criticism, taking things from, narrative angles and all that stuff, like a lot of people don't want to be associated with that. So I think that being associated with all of that could bring a lot of negativity to not just the organization, but to the players. It leaks everywhere.
Right.
So you blame everyone, and it's just like you look at ownership, and it's just like you have these great talents and you're not making them happy.
I mean, at some point, I don't feel like he'll blame Chris Middleton. I feel like he'll blame that front office because he has been there for 7 years, and if all they could bring to him is Chris Middleton, then they got to step up.
Well, it's like I was saying, it's real hard to bring players into small, medium markets. It's really, really difficult.
Right.
Because like I was saying, like name a person that says, "Oh yeah, I want to play in Minnesota." Oh yeah, let's go to Charlotte and meet up.
I mean, people came to Cleveland
because Braun was there. The best player in the world.
Giannis is looking like the best player in the world.
Yeah, but
he's looking like the face of the NBA for like the next 20 years.
I mean, going to your point, I can see why, it's NBA players do want to hurry up and go. All right, something goes wrong, let me blame everybody else and then dip. But it does take that special player, like a Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is more so come play with me. I want to win here. He's getting the money, obviously. He's being able to do his thing, but Giannis can do the same thing. It's just about a mentality. It's so cliche and it's so tiring that all these NBA players do the whole, let's go to the big market, let's do you'll be seen wherever. You know what I mean? When LeBron and KD was the number 1, 2, when he was LeBron was in Cleveland and KD was over in Oklahoma, it's not like the world didn't know who they were. Mm-hmm. I get it. LA is way more marketable. LA has way more stuff. But at the same time, LA is a kind of fickle town. Right. Same thing with Miami. We go back and we look at Miami games when LeBron, Wade, and Bosh was there. There was a lot of times that fans weren't there because there's other priorities. That's what happens in these kind of markets. I understand players want to go there, but at the same time, you can play ball in Milwaukee and still party in LA. Don't nobody tell you that you can't have a home in LA. Don't nobody tell you can't have a home in
LeBron had a home in Akron and a home in LA.
You can do whatever you want. You're an NBA player, so it's
Yeah.
like I'm not going to feel too sorry for you because you didn't win. Well, guess what? One team wins every year.
Exactly.
You still play basketball. You still do your thing. You still are responsible for some of them losses. Giannis can blame whoever this year for what happened last year. Giannis was the one that got taken out of the game. Giannis was the one that wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, and they lost. So I don't want to hear no excuses because that's what happens as a team. You win as a team, you lose as a team. You can, you're free to do whatever you want to, but I'm tired of the excuses of my teammates didn't bring it, so this is why I bang out.
All right.
But you also got to look at this too, Rondell, just kind of not to say defute, but with people going to Cleveland for LeBron James, LeBron was already like 13, 14 years deep into the game. And he's already been established, and he's already had rings and whatnot. And he came back to win a championship for his city.
All right.
That's going to take a lot more for Giannis. And like you said with Giannis, and Giannis is looking like the face, like LeBron has. But the thing about that is, there's a lot of faces right now. I think there's, and when you look at the generations of when LeBron came through, and then when Giannis now,
right,
there's a lot more faces that you could place in today's NBA than you could back then.
I can kind of give you that, but I mean, he had Chris Paul. It was Carmelo.
Right.
Kobe was still around. Shaq was still around.
Right. But I'm just saying,
AI was still around. Like, there's a lot of people.
Yeah, but I'm saying as far as we know what they're, because again, you have players like people are dubbing Zion already.
Right.
People are dubbing Ja already.
Right.
We're already dubbing Luka.
I didn't know we were, but okay.
Luka definitely could be the face of the league. He's definitely the future.
I mean, yeah, but the future truly is going to be placed on Giannis.
There have been people before, in a couple of years when he first got drafted, Trey Young. Well, we'll have high faith in Trey Young because what we've seen from Curry, and they were virtually the same player, especially when he played at Oklahoma.
Okay.
So it's just it's the transitional, what we're going to see from this generation. And Giannis can be there. Giannis is no, I'm not even going to go there. But yeah, Giannis is definitely a face. You could definitely say that, but is he the face? I
mean, to be honest, the face, and this is knocking LeBron out. The face is KD, but Giannis is the future.
Right.
So
that's how we have to put it. If we're talking about past LeBron terms.
Right.
I get that. Because it was just LeBron's the future, but Kobe's the face right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I get that. I'm just saying there's just more definitive arguments now than it was back then. Because it was just when you look at the draft class, well, Melo's there, cool.
Yeah.
But Melo's not a team player. LeBron's there. We got him. Bosh was there, but what would Bosh do without Wade and Braun?
That's crazy. He held.
He would have a great career. Don't get me wrong, but would he be a championship player?
Oh no.
He would have to go somewhere else for that. And then with Giannis, as far as a market,
T, you look confused over there.
I'm trying to process it all.
Tangent.
I mean, a little tangent, little mini tangent.
Tangent. I was gonna build off of you talking about Kobe to next topic, but
go ahead.
No, you was going on.
I'll just have one more statement. It's just again, it's real hard to put someone. It's hard to get a player that says I want to stay in a low to middle market. It's hard because one, it's a business. Two, there's no loyalty anymore in NBA. And three, everyone's a ring chaser now. But there's not a lot of people with the Damian Lillard mentality. There's just not. I could easily see Giannis going to Golden State. Just cause.
I would hate that.
Everyone would. I could easily see it because of the success, the recent success, and the players that are there.
Sick to my stomach right now.
Yeah,
and it's a much larger market. It's in California. Would you rather play for the Warriors, or would you rather play for the Bucks?
I'd rather play for the Kings, to be honest.
Good point.
I'm just gonna be honest with you.
I'm just saying. Sacramento's a small market, which is surprising because that's the capital of California. But we're not going to get into that.
Well, then, if that's the case, basketball players need to not complain about being so cliche about everything, or people looking at them as just shut up and dribble because it's rinse, recycle, repeat. You do a lot of the things. Now, I don't agree with the shut up and dribble thing at all, But I do get the whole why people stereotype and typecast them as being a certain type of person or whatever the case, because a lot of these athletes are divas. So it does get old, especially for and I reference this a lot. I'm an old school type of person. Like I remember the days where you stuck with your team, you fought hard, and you tried to win with who you had. You can't keep doing that. You can't keep running and trying to join team to team, because you'll be looked at and it's less respected. Again, referencing that Damian Lillard when he went at Paul George, that's what he was talking about, bro. You keep jumping team to team. One day you'll win a championship and you'll do the whole crying thing and hoisting the trophy and act like you worked hard to get it, and really you just found yourself in the most favorable spot. This is not what basketball has always been about. Basketball is about matchups and figuring it out. And when everything's on the line and making something happen, no matter what. And a lot of these athletes don't want to do that, but that just shows where their priority is. And I've long thought we'll go back and look at some of these championships and we'll say that this was a time that championships didn't mean as much as they used to. They were more bought than earned. It's basketball, and it's getting away from that a little bit now. But the last few years, it was kind of looking like the Yankees versus everybody. When the Yankees had the super big payroll and everybody else was just pretty much competing for number two, and you knew that from the start of the season. Basketball was looking like wrestling.
Cody and Logan would love to hear that.
They would have to tune in. Check us out, fellas.
But since we're close to the end of our show, let's end it off with happy belated birthday to Kobe Bryant. May he rest in peace, rest in power. And let's hear some favorite Kobe moments. Anyone want to take it off?
Mine's is very simple. It was Kobe's last game, right?
What was that? 80? Was that 81 points?
No, 60. Okay. It was a 60 ball.
50 shots, man.
My thing was when my specific one is when they were coming off a timeout, and you seen Kobe Bryant smiling and whatnot, right? Just joking around with someone that's in the stands or a fan or something like that. But then as soon as that they came off of that timeout, when the timeout was over, you just seen him switch to Black Mamba. Coldest thing I ever seen, especially knowing what happened towards the end of that game. Coldest thing I ever seen. Cold.
Okay.
Mine it's probably the 81 game. But one that does stand out to me, the Kobe moment, is when he gave the death stare to Mike Brown. Because just I'm big on sometimes your face tells the story.
Right.
Like my homeboy always say to me, man, it's written all over your face. You don't have to say a word. that was Mambo on that one. Like, you knew what he was thinking when he looked at Mike Brown. He gave him that, you ain't gonna be here tomorrow, look. I know you ain't gonna be here tomorrow, look. Let's get that done. He looked up at not even tomorrow, by the end of that night, Mike Brown fired after 5 games. Kobe. That's just what he do. But it's a mentality. When Kobe left, he left. I think he was the last of a dying breed, for real. Just that win by any means, outwork you, do things the right way.
You think he the last of a dying breed?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Kobe's different.
Come on now.
The mentality, that Mamba mentality. Why you think they call it Mamba mentality? There's only one.
You got Dame. You don't
have it like Kobe.
There's no one that got like Kobe.
They have Mamba.
Everyone else is kids now. The Kobe.
What about LeBron?
The Mamba mentality.
Come on, bro.
Mamba mentality.
Come on, bro.
LeBron,
playoff Bron be different.
LeBron had to have a sit down talk with D Wade in order for him to gain Mamba mentality. He didn't even get it from the Mamba himself.
See,
he did too.
They have
Mamba
moments.
About?
They don't have Mamba mentality. Like,
okay.
Kobe was a mentality. Kobe legitimately, as big as he was, as far as a celebrity, LA dude, whatever the case may be, it still was basketball first. You didn't see Kobe at a lot of events that weren't basketball related or wasn't no star-studded award ceremony, somewhere he had to be. Kobe didn't party a lot.
Right.
Kobe wasn't out there in the city. He wasn't, riding through Rodeo Drive and seeing Kobe just hanging out chilling. Kobe was about his ball and his kids and fixing that marriage. Kobe was, doing things the way that a lot of people need to do it. And if they do it that way, then I think basketball becomes less of a glorified AAU sometimes. It's just a mentality, man. That dude was a different breed of a dude. You loved him if you loved him. You hated him if you hated him. But everybody respected him.
All right.
So speaking of Kobe, we did have a
Can
little.
I give my favorite Kobe moment?
Dang,
You
just
My
just-
fault. I forgot.
Like,
I thought he had
golly.
win.
it's raining outside. And it's
I
raining
mean-
in here too, boy.
I mean, I ain't gonna go too long. My favorite Kobe moment was, after his retirement, just seeing him smile more, seeing him with his kids, everything. That's just my favorite Kobe moments. That's it. Seeing him on a
That's so sentimental.
yo, come on, you never made y'all smile when y'all see him on the what was it? I can't courtside.
Yeah, I mean, he made
Messing with the players, all that, with his daughter right next to him. Come on, man.
Now it happened after they went, but he made being a girl dad cool. You know what I mean? Like, I shout out anybody that's being a father. I shout out especially when you're an athlete, you're a superstar athlete. You can afford to not be a father. You can afford to, have maids and butlers and all that. People watching your kids. You can do all that. But to be a father and still a top tier NBA player and still I respect that. So I can definitely get that aspect of it, because as much as he's a basketball player, he did take time outside of basketball when he was done. It's basically like he did his job, and then he came in and tried to help other people do their job.
Right.
And Kobe's legacy will long live just for stuff like that.
All right, but what were you gonna say?
Oh,
Just know you got like 2 to 3.
Oh yeah, I was about to say. Speaking of Kobe, we did have a little thing with Kobe Bryant being on our team, and we were going to discuss that, right? The whole
the
all defensive team versus the
all scoring team. Yeah, I mean that's simple. All scoring team. Well, it's not even scared.
But who, like, we got to discuss who's on that team though.
Bro, we could do that next week when I pull up the graphic, show them all who's on the defensive side.
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, y'all was going long. I let y'all roll. It's 1:30 right now.
Yeah, all right, attitude.
All right,
You
bro.
got it, bro.
All right, bro.
Tangent.
That's crazy.
It's on the rundown. How is it a tangent?
Tangent.
It's not a tangent if it's on the rundown. Nothing.
All right, hold up. But real quick. Just shout out some game predictions, since that's actually kind of.
Okay, yeah, we got to do game.
Yeah.
So we got 2 games today, right? We have the Rockets, Thunder, and who else?
Today we have the Magic, Bucks, Rockets, Thunder, and
Bucks, Rockets.
Trailblazers, Lakers.
Oh, Bucks, Rockets, Lakers.
Oh, these are some clear dubs,
Yeah.
I believe.
Well, the Magic and the Bucks they're 3-1 right now, so
Yeah,
Bucks win. That's
Bye, Orlando.
It's
Good knowing
it's
y'all.
over. It's over now.
Y'all
Yeah.
Over. It's my turn now.
Yeah, I say it's over for it's over for Orlando. It's over for Portland.
It's definitely over for Portland. Portland might lose by 40.
They not even playing out there. Not
They
really.
really might lose by 40.
And it's 2-2 with the Thunder and Rockets.
Rockets.
I don't know.
This is the most important game.
I low-key got the Thunder. They've been looking at it.
I mean, it's definitely a pick 'em, but I just think the Rockets absolutely have to have this game.
I mean,
Yeah.
is Westbrook back out there?
No.
It's a game time decision.
Okay. Well, if he's not out there, I got the Thunder.
I wouldn't
Fair.
even put Westbrook out there, honestly.
How
'Cause I think that they could win 2 games once he steps on the floor.
Yeah.
So they can take it to 7. And then, like, have Russell Westbrook coming off of momentum of 2 games instead of just playing, like, 3 or just playing the whole series. Any of that. So.
I mean, I guess, but all right. So we all got what? Magic gone, Portland gone, and then it's a toss-up between Thunder and Rockets.
I'm picking the Rockets, but it's definitely a toss-up.
I think that James Harden is going to have a spectacular game. A spectacularly inefficient game.
You better. Right?
Damn.
He's gonna shoot like 37 shots and make like 16, and then have like 15 free throws.
You better bring it.
That's my prediction. He's gonna have like a darn near 50 ball and like 15 free throws and almost a triple double. He's gonna flirt with a triple double.
All right. Okay. Well, that was the show for today. We'll see y'all next time. Well, any last thoughts? Last mentions? Shout out social medias, all that.
Yep, you can find me on Facebook under the name T Nesbitt. Where else? I'm on Instagram. The name is T Nesbitt 85, and
That's his age, if y'all didn't know.
make sure to go ahead and if you see this, share it, support, show love. That's what it's all about out here. We out here.
We really do appreciate the love that we've received and the positive feedback. We definitely um, thrive off of that, and we provide great energy for you guys, and you guys show the love back, and we appreciate for those that view. Again, you can catch me at Marvell Nichols on Facebook, or you can catch me at Marvelous, spell it with the number 1, replacing the L, and then 2 underscores on IG. And that's all I gotta say, man. Thank y'all for tuning in.
All right. Catch me Facebook, Rondell Sutherland. Instagram, r.Sutherland Films, but I ain't gonna pay attention to that. So, you just catch me. You can catch me somewhere. Probably.
Less about fan interaction.
We about to have our own Cash App.
Yeah, definitely cash at me. Definitely.
We're gonna have our own Cash App. So
But
we're gonna do something productive with the money. We promise. Like, buy ourselves some food.
Yeah.
We
But
gotta eat. You know what I mean?
catch y'all next time.
What's wrong with mine?